Alright, I'm going to review the TSD M1911 today. Alright, when you open the box, you will obviously get a manual. If you don't get a manual, I would imagine that it's already been opened. You should get an Allen key for your hop-up, which is right here. With mine, one end does not fit correctly for some strange reason. I just use it like that. Magazine. I remember getting some BBs, but not that many. They were really shitty. Alright. It is a single action, which means that you have to pull that back every time. You cannot pull the trigger just like that. And you can do that one of two ways. You can simply pull it back. You can do this, or you can do that. Alright. Now this is the slide clutch. It is It is functional, but it does not work when the mag is empty. Like the mag. See, you have to actually push this up in order for that to work. And while we're at the mag, it sticks. You have to shake it out, unless of course there's CO2 in there, which in that case it will just pop right out. And another thing, when you first get it, the magazine might be kind of hard to put in, so just slap it in kind of hard. Just make sure that everything works. Alright, it does come with a safety. Now this safety totally disengages everything. Disengages the slide, and disengages the trigger. Alright. Now one of the things that I did not like with this is these two screws. This one and this one. They are holding, I'm not quite sure what to call that, but I would say holding the primer in place and charging the actual gun, which would be like pushing this hammer back and locking it into place. Now they get loose, and unfortunately this piece is plastic, so if you try tightening them, it may eventually strip, or it is plastic and it could just break. Alright, you do have adjustable sights here, which you can adjust with a Phillips head screwdriver. And then you can also take these off with a Phillips head screwdriver, the hand guards. Maybe switch them out for something better. You have a sling mount here, which is one of the things that I really liked, because I did not find that on pretty much anything. The entire slide is metal. You have the establishment date, U.S. Army, February 14th, 1911. Got some initials. Then you have the made in Taiwan thing right there. And you do have a white dot sight on the front. You do not have it on the back, which is kind of annoying. And like I said, the entire slide is metal, but this isn't. This isn't. This is. So pretty much everything silver or chrome is metal. No, this is not. This is not. This is not. The mag well is not. What else is not? There's nothing really on the magazine. It's plastic except for this, which is the, I would call it like the CO2 primer or engagement thingy. You just unscrew it and screw it back in to make sure that the CO2 goes in. And speaking of CO2, if you use Crossman 12-gram CO2s, it can be kind of hard to get in there. At least I had a problem with it, because their seal caps are a little different than some of the higher quality CO2 cartridges out there. Alright, another thing about this spring, I had heard that one guy had a problem where it would not feed more than one BB. He would have to take the magazine out, and he would have to put it back in and then shoot it. I have not had that problem, at least not continuously. I've had it maybe once or twice, so it's not that big of a deal. Another thing I forgot to explain is this is actually part of, I would say, the barrel. It's the very beginning of it. It's the reason the slide doesn't come back, or does not lock in place, because of the system it uses. It basically just puts the BB right in front of the barrel, and then the CO2 comes from the back of the magazine and pushes the BB out. So there's no real indicator of when the magazine is empty, except for you can listen for a click, and if you don't hear a click, you might be out of ammo, I mean, obviously, after a while, you'll be out of ammo. So, like, listen for it after you've shot maybe 10, 11 shots. At least that's what I've seen. Alright, and then in here you have your plastic seal for the CO2. I've noticed that this type of plastic is kind of weak. I actually used to have a Glock who had that had the same plastic and it broke. I was able to fix it, but it just shows that they're being kind of cheap, or maybe it is a higher grade of plastic. It looks exactly the same though. It's actually on both parts, here and then in here. And inside the slide there's a plunger. You're probably not going to be able to see it, but it basically looks exactly the same as this plastic. It's a greenish, I guess you can say transparent plastic, and it can break very easily. I have a feeling it's because the CO2 freezes it and then it defreezes, and that after happening, say, a couple hundred times, it just gives out. Now, another thing that I did not like about this gun is when you shoot it, maybe, or empty, say, 5 or 6 mags, it started to release oils and lubricants. Like, there is some on the hammer. And for me, the way I reload this, it's kind of like I pick it up, this mag comes out, I kind of hold the mag, and it becomes kind of slippery. And the other thing I noticed is there isn't really a grip right here for you to easily pull it back. So we can do this, put the magazine back in, and you're good to go. Of course, a little different for this one. For those of you who don't know, red means fire, white means nothing. That means you're on safety. Also, this moves up and locks the slide, which I did show before, but I'm just making another note of that. Now, for the Phillips head screws, to adjust your sights, there's one here, and one here. And then you have your mag release right here, which seems to be held in by some type of pin. I've had this gun for a little bit. I'm not planning on taking it apart or doing anything else to it until I need to. Alright. Now, normally on the actual 1911, this would also be part of the safety mechanism, but it is non-functional. It is just there to improve your grip. Now, when I said that this was single action instead of double action, I know some of you, like, as soon as I heard that, I was scared, and I was like, that's gonna kind of suck. But for me, it is actually a hell of a lot easier to shoot. You shoot like twice as fast as the double action Glock that I used to have. But it's not going to be immediately ready unless you charge it before you start playing. Well, this is just the TSD 1911 hardkick CO2 blowback pistol. Another thing about the magazines, I believe, at least for me, I can fill it twice, and then the CO2 will start to weaken or freeze. Blowback will not be as strong. Another thing is it shoots phenomenally. Like, the range is amazing. The accuracy is basically human error, so if you're shaking like crazy, you're gonna miss. Alright. That's it.